You're now tuning in to the Ambitious Views podcast, where we share unique perspectives on storytelling within film and television from the past, present, and future. We're here for a good time, not a long time. So let's get to it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Ambitious Views podcast. I'm your boy Corrigan and the lovely Blaze.
Blaze, what's up, Corgan? How is your day, your week?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. I'm getting my rest back because it's been some hours
Yeah.
and hours and hours that I've been put,
hmm
but but I'm feeling better. I'm getting my rest back just enough time right before vacation. So I'm feeling pretty dang good.
Vacation?
Yeah, yeah. How you been?
I'm good. School has not been that stressful. Work hasn't been that stressful. I
Oh man.
mean, we at the time where like finals are around the corner,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Yep.
just dealing with a lot of students who are not passing their classes and they trying to figure out how I can pass.
Yep.
So, just a lot of that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It can be interesting, it can be a little bit too much, but it is
Mm-hmm.
what it is. 3 more weeks.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
it's another semester.
Another one.
Another one.
Another one.
Oh, and then, doing orientation as well for summer.
Mm. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I know our orientations already been announced and everything like that for the summer. How many do y'all have during the summer?
I do one a month during the summer.
Okay. Okay, that's not too bad. All the way to August or just July and June and July?
The ones that are in August and like technically the one that's in July is more for people that are starting in the fall.
Okay. Got you. Got you. Okay. Well, dope. Well, y'all, we getting into sinners today. All right. So, not to be alarmed, we ain't gonna take you anywhere else but into the movie. All right. So we just gonna stick right in today. But we talking about Sinners today. That's the feature film that we'll be really having an enjoyable time jumping into today. Really excited for it. A really great film. Really been sitting back and following it for a very long time and keeping up with all the tabloids and all that stuff like that. So really excited to get into it. But of course, first we got to jump into what is this, which is our game that we have between one another. And today is Blaze's day. We're gonna see if Blaze is gonna cheat as usual. But I'm gonna go ahead and hand it on over to Sister Blaze.
I mean, I think I got a really easy one for you today.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We gonna see. We gonna
So
see.
I'll give you three actors and you got to tell me what the movie is. It's one
Okay.
movie. They all in it. So we got John Witherspoon,
Okay.
Angela Bassett,
Okay.
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. John Witherspoon. John Witherspoon, Angela Bassett, and Eddie Murphy. You sure Angela Bassett in it?
I am positive Angela Bassett is in it.
Ooh, wee. And John Witherspoon. Like I know he was in Boomerang, and of course he was in Friday. Ooh, Eddie Murphy and Angela Bassett. That's oh, gosh. Okay, we get a hint, right?
It's on theme of what we are discussing today.
Dang, I couldn't even ask for the thing. I mean, for a hint. She's like, yeah, I got a hint for you. Here you go.
I
It's
thought
on
that was like, I thought you were gonna be like, oh, okay, got it.
on theme with this with John Witherspoon. You talking about Friday, John Witherspoon?
Friday, John Witherspoon.
Come on, Blaze. Ah, I know. I don't think I ever watched it.
I have never seen this movie as well.
But I think you hadn't seen it.
No, but it's a cult classic apparently.
Ooh. It's smelling like late 80s or early 90s.
Middle 90s.
Yep. And I feel like two of them are minor characters. Is it Beloved?
And
What?
so we're talking about Sinners, which has a big plot of vampires. So it was Vampire in Brooklyn.
No. Oh my God. And I've seen that. I wasn't even thinking about. You literally gave the movie away. I was not even because Eddie Murphy. Okay, so I wasn't familiar. You know what? John Witherspoon was he? No, he wasn't blind in this one. He was blind in Soul Plane. But yeah, Angela Bassett was like the main person in that. Oh,
Mhm.
gone. That was a good one. Shoot. You got me. You got me, Blaze. Dang,
I
man.
thought you were gonna get that one.
I wasn't thinking about that. Oh man, I ain't seen that I think since I was a kid. And I couldn't tell you nothing about it right now.
I've
But
never seen it before, but I think I'm gonna check it out.
Eddie definitely played a pretty suave, menacing brother in that film, from what I can remember. Um,
Well, I know
but I
it's directed by Wes Craven, and I'm a fan of him, so
mm,
I think I'll check that out.
oh, gone, Blaze. You got me with that one. So what's on your watch list?
Not too much. Obviously Sinners, you know what we're gonna talk about.
Great,
And
great.
then this past weekend was WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas. So spent a lot, basically all last week watching a lot of wrestling, but it was good. It was really good.
Yeah, I got to tune in a little bit on Saturday. I watched a little bit of it Saturday. I didn't get to watch it Sunday between which I was when I was editing, it was early in the day, it wasn't on, but I was out with family that evening, so I didn't get to tune in passively because I was very interested in watching the main, I think it was the main event a triple threat?
For night one, it was the triple threat with
It was
Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth
oh,
Rollins.
okay.
Night
Oh
two,
yeah, that is right. That is right. That
and
is
that was
right.
a really good match. Really good match.
Yeah. Yeah, so I didn't get to see the next one with John Cena, which is what I want to see. So um but yeah, I mean, now I will say this to talk a little bit of wrestling, Blaze. Now I know that John Cena is supposed to be ending sometime soon, whatever like that. Now that he done won this title, I don't know what type of plot line they got going on. I think a lot of people are confused. But I will say doggone Randy Orton in prime shape that he's in, popping up
Yeah,
and doing what he doing, oh, I'm
yeah.
in for the rest of the year.
You know,
If that's go
he
ahead.
was actually out for maybe like a year and a half. He had a really bad, I think, neck injury. And when
Mhm,
he came back, I want to say Survivor Series 2023, he
mhm.
came back in impeccable shape. Like, I mean, you saw
Yeah,
like he's in amazing shape. You would think he was back in his 20s.
yeah, like he's never been that buff, and it looks natural. You know what I'm saying? Like it looked like he
Hmm.
really took his time. And yeah, man. I mean, I'm trying to remember. I feel like we've had glimpses of he and John Cena's like John Cena having a rivalry, but
Yeah.
this I feel like this could be the opportunity to be a great send off for John Cena
Hmm.
because not too many people know. Because I had the it's crazy now that I look back on it, I guess I've been more in documentaries more than I realized. But I had the DVD for John Cena, and it basically talks about him transitioning from college, playing football all the way up. And basically he and Randy started in the same amateur league together. So they've been
Mm.
known, and I think Batista may have been there. I
Yeah, it
think.
was him, Batista, Brock Lesnar, and Shelton Benjamin.
Gotcha. And Randy Orton was in it. And I just feel like this could be a perfect story ending for his time in wrestling by putting it together. They could have done it any other way because I mean, Randy is just he's just transformed, man. Like it's
Mhm.
and I feel like if anybody has been their character and it's hard to separate the person from the character, it's been Randy Orton, man. Like
Yeah.
he's one of the best crafted characters in WWE that I feel like almost has ever been done. Like it's up there with I would say the Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
So
And I know you like documentaries on
mhm.
Peacock. There's
Yeah,
one that's called Evil. And it's about basically about like different heels in the industry. And Randy Orton has an episode. I would say watch the whole entire thing. Very great, great documentary. But Randy Orton is really good. And what I like about the documentary is that like they talk about the psychology behind their characters and how they were able to like the choices that they made and stuff. So
mhm.
it's really interesting. You will like it.
Yeah. I mean, he has a perfect origin, man. Like he was with Evolution.
Mm-hmm.
They they hurt the baby boy, and the baby boy is hurt. And on top of that, baby boy is second or third generation. And
Mm-hmm.
then he just has to learn to earn his way ever since then. It's perfect,
Yeah.
so I'm definitely gonna be tuning in, and I really hope that's something that they're able to use for I have a long John is supposed to be around aware of like that, but I feel like that'll be a perfect segue to where if Randy is getting the title, who else better to get it from but John Cena?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that can also set him up to hopefully help build up whoever else is supposed to be the next
Yeah.
face or next heel of the company, super heel of the company. So,
Yeah.
but
Well,
no.
it does look like Randy Orton will be his first opponent at Backlash next month.
Mm-hmm.
The Raw after WrestleMania, Randy Orton came and RKO'd John Cena.
Right,
So
right.
so we'll be seeing a match between them soon. So that'll be
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. Don't drag it out to another WrestleMania, but just I I think
Please
that
don't.
could be a great send off. Like at least if you can make, even if you want to stretch it out through the summer, I can see it being something like that. But yeah. So, which honestly, I could see them kind of slowing down with that soon anyway, because Peacemaker is getting ready to come out soon, and I know you're gonna have to do promo
Yes.
for that. So definitely ready for that. So, well, cool, Blaze. Some of the stuff I've been checking out, I got to see one of them days.
Okay, what did you think?
It was good. It was good. I wasn't expecting it to come through like it did. It really was great. I like how they tied in different characters, centering all the way up until the end,
Yeah.
and stuff. It was a little bit more like I know you mentioned about it kind of reminds you of Fridays, and it did too. It was a little bit more visually speaking cinematic than I expected them to go, as
Yeah.
far as the direction. But at the same time, the comedy wasn't lost within that. And so, I don't know. I mean, I really think it could have been in the space of the classics, which ironically, we talked about in the previous episode, but I wonder because of it being rated R and a short marketing time, how
Yeah.
long is it going to take for people to really jump on it, and stuff like that? Because I feel like it was great, and then boom, it was on Netflix,
Yeah.
uh, and stuff like that. But really great movie, man. It was a good laugh. Like I naturally laughed. I didn't have to feel like, oh, they want me to laugh here, let me grin. Like it actually made me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't feel like there was like these are the moments you should laugh. Like it was written in a way where you can kind of find comedy wherever.
Yeah, yeah, and I was it was great to see, Tony Baker in there and stuff like that because I follow him on IG and support him and stuff like that. So glad that he got his part in there, and I really hope that he's able to get some more opportunities because he's definitely very funny. So, but yeah, so watch one of them days. Currently watching Celtics City or Celtic City.
I hope that ain't got nothing to do with them people up in Green
Definitely
in
all about.
Boston.
Not only that, it's about championships.
Oh,
Championships. The most
okay.
in the NBA actually. Um, so
Oh,
but no,
really?
oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But anyway, no, it's really good, Blaze. It's cool out of all the documentaries I've watched from the docu-series that's on Hulu about the Lakers, um watching a documentary about Magic Johnson, I think it's on Apple, to watching the documentary about Bill Russell, which I think is on Netflix. um just watching all these different type of projects, and I know that it was based off of true events but not fully true, but after watching so many documentaries, Winning Time seemed very close to a certain degree, a little exaggerated sometimes, but I feel like they did pretty good. um it's been very interesting to see the Celtics in this light. They're definitely taking their time with this in the sense of like they'll start off at the beginning, they'll start off in current times and then winning the championship, winning the championship, Blaze. Two,
I mean, they had a great season. They deserve to end that season with a win. So I'll give
yeah,
them.
round two is coming. And
I don't know about all of that.
but after that, they take you back and just show you from Bill Russell. It was another star player that was playing a little bit before Bill Russell, but I can't remember his name at the moment. And just seeing the evolution of that. So it's a lot of more episodes than I realized, and they releasing them weekly. And I think the episode that I'm on now is getting ready to go into the second half of talking about Larry Bird's impact for the Celtics and stuff like that. One thing I will say that I will share from the docu-series is I like the fact how they highlight, well, not like the fact, it was actual fact. Basically, the reason why you see Celtics on all of the paraphernalia and the jerseys is because the owner, Red, wanted to separate the team from the racial climate in Boston. And I
Hmm.
really appreciated that. That was pretty dope to learn about. So, but yeah, so
Okay.
Celtic City, it's on HBO Max. Each episode is about almost 40 minutes to an hour long, and stuff like that. And I'm gonna shake you up with this one, Blaze. Guess what I watched for the first time fully through?
What?
Baps.
That was your first time watching it fully through?
First time.
Oh, wow.
I know
That's a classic.
it is. I really enjoyed it. I love what it means now. That
Hmm.
was pretty cool. So, but yeah, Baps was pretty cool. Audrey had it on when I first walked in. I was like, oh, that's been on my watch list. I've been wanting to try to check it out. She's like, oh yeah, watch it. Well, we can watch it. You try to watch it then. I was like, yeah, I'm tired. Let's watch it Saturday. And so we watched it during the day, and it was really good. I actually liked the just the nostalgic experience of watching a film from the 90s and how they take their time with things. It's not rushed. It's a
Hmm.
simple plot to it. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really did. So, but yeah, that's on my watch list. And now, Blaze, is about time that we jump into the real take. And the real take today is Sinners. So,
Banner.
Blaze, you got to see this last Thursday or last Friday?
Last Friday. I
Last
literally
Friday.
went right after work.
Oh yeah. So were you able to watch it in IMAX? Did you come out here? Did you watch it on your end?
I watched it on my end.
Okay. So you sat down and the lights are dark and it comes on after probably 1,000 previews of other projects.
Which had me nervous because I was like, wait, all these previews are horror previews. This better not be a straight up. die-hard horror movie. I can't do it.
I'm
I was
walking out
ready to
right now.
hide my eyes the whole time because that's how I had to do some of the previews. I was like, wait a minute,
Oh gosh,
I'm not
Blaze
built
about to
for this.
walk out. Well, the trailer stopped and it gives you an intro, and then all of a sudden you see this young man in this car from the 30s bouncing all the way up, looking depressed. What was your thoughts when he got out of that car and started walking into that church?
I was like, oh, he didn't had a night. He didn't had a night. And I mean, I know we about to figure out what that night was, but where everybody else at? Where all the other people at that was in the preview? Why he alone?
Oh my gosh, man. And then all the jump scares.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it was just shocking me. I was like, wait a minute, Ryan.
Wait.
This ain't what I signed up for. I'm trying to see about this young man and see what's going on with him. And you making me jump. You distracted me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried.
I'm worried. What are we getting into?
Oh man. So we going in and it sets the tone. So what was your mind? What were you thinking about and just trying to process at that moment of just what you thought you was about to get into, and then like as it transitioned, like with you trying to, what were you trying to figure out or piece together? Because like you said, we kicking off like we already at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
You showing us the end result, which I was not expecting. Not too many projects really do that nowadays. Um, Especially how they take their time to do it, you know. But we kick it off with him. And so what was going through your process of just trying to process everything was going on, being in the church, hearing the pastor that we didn't realize it was his father till as time progressed went on. But what were you thinking at that time?
I was thinking, where's Michael B. Jordan? Because I'm like, if he alone, do that mean Michael B. Jordan character died? So that was
Mm,
my first thought. I was like,
yeah,
so if this is the result of the night, where is everybody else? That's what I was first thinking about.
yeah,
And I don't know if we talked about this on the pod or if this was like one of those post-recording conversations, but like trying to figure out what was the purpose of a vampire movie for a majority black cast being placed in this particular time period. So I
yeah,
was trying to like collect information as to why I had to be in this time period, and it that like pulled me in more because that before I saw the movie was made me apprehensive about it because I was like, I don't really just want to go watch a movie about
race.
racism for
Essentially.
black people, like
Yeah.
black trauma and stuff. And
Mhm.
so the experience watching the movie, I was like, I loved how Ryan was able to put this movie in a time period where it wasn't great for Black people, but that's
Right.
not the focus of it. Like, that's still something they got to deal with, but we also are going to focus on them as just people who are
Hmm.
going through life. And then this supernatural thing kind of happens, but they also still have to deal with life. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that was a great viewing experience. And it
Hmm.
was just as a writer too, I was also thinking like, man, how did he write this? Like I saw a tweet earlier today that was like, I just want to see the script to get that experience. And like I'm the same way. The
Hmm.
watching experience made me want to read the script.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. And going into that setting, I really love how they took their time to really get us as viewers to like settle in. It's almost like he knew that we like there were going to be people not necessarily just apprehensive, but just like okay, it's almost like a traditional story.
Yeah.
So why this setting? Why are you doing it this way? Like, what is going to be the significance and make this stand out outside of other stories, and especially being released at this time of the year instead of more so in the fall or early on, like when it's cold and everything like that, that people are inside. You know,
Mhm.
like why this way? And I really love, like, honestly, it worked out because even though there is like the heaviness and stuff like that that happens later on, it feels like springtime. And it
Yeah.
feels like that time of year type of year then it reflected, I feel like, what was going on now. So even setting just as like weather is aware of like that, it was kind of like a perfect balance. And then also I love how once we are introduced to, smoke, and Lord,
That.
what is and Stack, that we find out that, hey, they kin to Preacher Boy, which is the main character, well, one of the main characters, that's the preacher's son, that we get the introduction in the city. And one of my favorite things they did, and I love when filmmakers find a way to get a point across without having to tell it or show it.
Hmm.
Did you realize, or like, what was your thought process, or did you even realize when they made it into the city, they was going to visit one grocery store, and he
Hmm.
was talking to the daughter. I think it was Smoke that was talking to the daughter, and then they know that they needed some help or assistance or wherever like that with the night, and the wife needed to know, and so literally the daughter had to go all the way across to another grocery store that was white. So literally right then, there he's setting the tone of letting you know, I ain't gotta show you like whites only, blacks only, nothing like that or whatever. But
Hmm.
I'm just gonna let it be known, hey, this is their side, that is their side. In some type of way, they're coexisting, but just understand this is the racial climate that we're in right now. And it is segregation. Like, did that pick up for you quickly that that's what he was trying to show, or did it kind of was it kind of like a hindsight thing?
That for me, that was a hindsight thing. One of the consultants, for the they were Chinese, right?
Yes.
So
Yes, I believe so.
one of the consultants posted a documentary that they have created or that they're producing about like that time period and how the stores were that, and that's when it clicked in my head like, oh, so that's why she went across the street, because I honestly didn't pay attention to the other people in the store. Had I paid attention, I would have been like, oh, okay, this is the black store, that's the white store. But I did think that that
Mhm.
was a nice little nod, and even just the inclusion of the Chinese people in the movie I thought was cool, because that's something that isn't talked about a lot. Like I feel like
Right.
we as Southerners know that, like when we see Chinese people and stuff, like we know that they are kind of ingrained in Southern culture and stuff, but I don't think people outside of the South really realize that, because it's not talked about a lot or shown a lot.
Exactly. And the other beautiful thing about that moment is also showing that I feel like still continues to this day is that while we're at odds, and when I say that, black versus white or wherever like that, we've been at odds for over the years. And I say odds, but more so like how there's been oppression, of our people over the years, but for obvious reasons, that I found it very unique how in this way he showed where that community, the Chinese Asian community lies with that is like, no matter what they got going on, we're able to handle business and be able
Hmm.
to build up our generations to come.
Yeah,
And I feel like that still goes on to this day in certain
I
aspects of
agree.
where like that. Of course, certain things are changing, or whatever like that, with entrepreneurship opportunities and expanding, and certain communities having their own or whatever. But I did find it very unique how these two communities may be at odds, but we're able to meet them in the middle and be able to persevere through whatever they got going on, and stuff. And so that was something that I really found, very unique in them setting the tone of letting it be known this is what's going on instead of traditional, oh, I hate you, all this stuff like
Hmm.
that, whip or hanging. Because he could have went there.
Yeah,
This is in the 30s,
it
you
could
know
have
what I'm
been
saying?
very on the nose. Yeah,
Yes, yes. And so I like how smooth that moment was.
very subtle.
Hmm. And so we're going through their Blaze, and we're learning that they can, what was your thoughts finally seeing Smoking Stack brothers together for the first time, passing this cigarette back and forth.
Um, I was just trying to pick up on like what makes them unique
Yeah.
because I wanted to be able to identify them,
Hmm.
in scenes when they're together, when they're not together. But I was very impressed with Michael B. Jordan, like the accent and everything. I was like, okay, but also like the subtleties of the accents between the brothers.
Yeah.
Um, I like the idea. I like the idea of having them be twins. I think that was a good character or story plot for them to use or device to use.
Yeah. Yeah. I did pick up on like the certain differences, especially like, it took a little bit for me to really kind of iron out the differences, because I'm not gonna lie, like, we're big about watching stuff that we only like on
Hmm.
AVP and stuff like this, y'all. But I'm gonna be truthful. Like I was very scared of this approach when I heard about the twins, more so just because for me, and there's probably other projects out there, I've had a hard time seeing anything that's measured up to the 1990s Parent Trap
Hmm.
twin aspect. The way they was able to do that way back then and make it work and the accents and all the stuff like that. Like I was very scared because I've seen different projects in different ways where they'll do a shortcut of things. The doubles are, a little bit too obvious, all this stuff like that. And I ain't gonna lie, like as much as I was looking forward to it, it's kind of like, man, it's a lot. You got Michael B. Jordan playing a twin.
Hmm.
You twins, you got it's back in the 30s. It's in the South. You got a lot of people having to embrace Southern accent, all this stuff like that. It's just like, and then there's vampires in this too. It's like
It's so many
it's
elements.
so
It's so
much.
because it's one thing to like as an actor to have an accent, but you also are having to have an accent during a different time period. And then when
Yes.
we think about Smoke and Stack, they're from the South, they're from Mississippi, but they've also traveled a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I feel like whenever I go away somewhere and I'm there for a long time, you pick up accents or you pick up like little things, the way you say things may kind of change based off of where you are. And
Mhm.
so all of those little elements to include that in the character is so hard, but I think Michael B. Jordan did it very well.
Yeah, he did. And the moment that I was all in and I was like, okay, I get what y'all putting down
Hmm.
is when he had the young lady sit in the car, told her to sit there, hump the horn if somebody's trying to steal anything. And this man pulled out a pistol and did not
And
hesitate.
did not hesitate and shot. I was like, okay, so this is Stacks. Stacks don't play. He will take somebody out like that. And then Smoke is like he about that money. He's about the
Yeah.
business.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, y'all went there. Y'all went there.
Hmm.
And I really did appreciate that. And um, so I really loved how they were up in your face. They did not hold back. And it came to a moment once they left the cotton field to pick up um I think it was one of the
Cornbread.
last people which one was it?
Cornbread. I think that was
When
his
they
name.
talked to yeah, when they talked to cornbread, I told Audrey, I said, I feel like this is setting up and leading to something. I feel like this is a setup.
Hmm.
Oh my, oh my goodness, was it? And man, I really loved how, transitioning into the juke joint and just seeing how everything led up to it. I really loved the experience. I felt like I was getting welcome to a party.
Hmm.
And we just trying to see how things are gonna be and everything like that. Did you feel like it was leading up to something? Because we saw different things and all this stuff like that. We saw them at the door, but we didn't know how things worked out. You know what I'm saying? I will say what they cut, which I only watched the first actual trailer. What they cut initially then versus what they show here, they did a really great job with having our mindsets kind of, I say, everywhere, but not really having an understanding like how things were going to be leading to other things, you know. And so, how were you feeling as things were approaching? It was starting to get darker. You know, where the sun is setting, and also, you know, well, we'll come back to the vampire. But what were you thinking at that time as far as everybody rounding up to that? Were you kind of like, or like, did you feel like it was something going on along with that that we need to be more cautious of?
Um, Not necessarily that I thought we needed to be more cautious of. Like I can understand. I understood that it was leading up to the party, and that's where like the big events of the movie were gonna happen. Like I could tell that X aspect. I
Yeah.
think what I was probably paying attention to was like the lead up to the party was I don't know how to explain. Like it was just very well written in a historical sense. I feel like that lead up got Ryan was able to teach us things about that time period without
Yep.
it feeling like an information dump. You know,
Mhm.
them picking
Yeah.
cotton, for
Yeah.
example. You know, I'm thinking about like really young kids, like, oh, they were still picking cotton at that time. Why? Well, that was
Yeah.
a way to make money during that time. And they kept talking about rations and stuff like that. So like teaching us
Mhm.
about that, or
Mhm.
people paying for stuff with the master promissory notes, and in that whole thing of using that or wooden nickels versus actual
Mhm.
currency, and
Mhm.
why, you know, Stacks was against using like the fake money, but why it was so important to the people in Mississippi. When they went and met, when they went and got the musician, and that introduced Mary, but also like back with the musician, and how he was basically an alcoholic, but he
Yep.
everybody knew him in the city as being this great musician. And
Yep.
so like they just kind of accepted him as being an alcoholic, but he was also able to travel around and do his
Mhm.
thing in music, and people like loved it and appreciated it. That was
Mhm.
cool. Or even when Sammy was about to start playing his guitar, and he was like, "Whoa, wait a minute, this is my block," you know? So just like little things like that is what was resonating with me, and was like I was just paying attention to how we were learning all these little things about the time period. And it's just like, wow, this movie is so well researched, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
And it made me really fall in love with the movie before, I guess you could say, like the whole vampire plot even got thrown into it. Like it really felt like it was just a normal day, and then we hit the point where the vampire shows up at the clan member's house.
Right.
And then even the introduction of the Native Americans,
That
which
was real smooth.
that was one of my favorite scenes. Like he was like, "Hey, somebody out here, I'm trying to help y'all." Then his friend was like, "Hey, we got to get going." All right, well, we're gonna go. God bless. Hey, I'm not gonna convince you
Y'all got it.
else. I'm gonna leave. Bye.
The sun is coming down. Y'all got it.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to revert back just to give clarity. It was Smoke that actually didn't want to use none of the money because he was a more hard nosed one or whatever. Stack was the one that was kind of like the free spirited brother, and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. But yeah, like that's very good points. And it's crazy because I'm not even gonna jump to that night, but we had already got an understanding of the rules of this particular type of vampires, as in if you didn't realize it, he had to be let into their house too, and we didn't even realize that. Did you think about that, Blaze, when he came up to the Klansman's house?
Oh yeah. Cause
He didn't even walk
when
in.
he first got introduced and he was burning, I was like, oh, he's a vampire. He's trying to get out
Right,
the fun. He's trying to get out
right.
the fun. And so when he came up to them and was trying to get invited in, I was like, yeah. So they're gonna use the traditional vampire rules of needing to be invited in. But also I feel like they did that perfectly
Mhm.
because white people gonna stick to white people. Like, oh, these Native Americans after you. Of course you can come in our house, you stranger.
True. Oh, your skin is burning. We don't care.
We
Come on.
don't care. How dare they? What did they do? Set you on fire? We'll protect you. Like,
Right.
no, you don't know this person. They could be coming after him because he murdered their whole family. Like, what?
Yeah, and that's a good point because then we fast forward. Hey, we trying to come in and play. Want to play our banjo and everything like that. Folks like, I think we good. Which it also is realistic. It's like we also got to think about during that time. At any moment, even though you saw Smokey Stack cut the deal with the guy, you saw a guy hostile really quick or whatever, they have to be on high alert because people don't realize it, but around this time, or at least even 10 years after, there was a really big migration from the South to Chicago.
Yep. The Great
You know,
Migration.
right? Because one of my my papa was one of the people that moved to Chicago or whatever like that at that time, and so and this is even before we get into the 50s with the when we're talking about civil rights movements and all this stuff like that. So this is before a lot of organized things and things that was heavily recorded on television, all this stuff like that. And so being able to see that moment where it's just like it's not even that like we just trying to be on some negative type stuff or not trying to include you, but we're trying to put our safety first. And then the funny thing is if they let was it Marie in. Is it that her name? Mary.
Mary.
When they let Mary in, they like, what about her? Well, like she family,
She
you know.
family. Not too much on her.
Don't worry about that. That's our business. You out there.
But see, she was according to like the description, she's supposed to be basically a black woman who can pass for white.
Mm, okay. Which is why they added in what they said, as far as her talking about that, which I mean that was happening during that time.
Mhm.
Um, and I really love dialogue wise how they was really dropping some dimes. I mean, they hit Arkansas. They hit us pretty hard,
I
Blade.
know. I was like, yes, Little Rock. Everybody in the movie theater was like, Little
Gang, gang.
because they said Little Rock several times, and I was like, wow, I
Yeah.
love to hear us being included because I mean, usually we
No,
are not
no.
included.
And when we are, it's not in the way that they were doing it. Like, of course, it was still in the sense of just like there's some type of caution that they have because of what happened in Arkansas and two different people's lives from Stack and Mary to Slim and stuff like that or whatever. But
Mhm.
I just really appreciate that, they brought up Arkansas, they brought up Little Rock, but then they didn't try to make it seem like that, it's just a dusty old whatever. Like they really tried to bring some credibility to the
Mhm.
city and the state. It wasn't a whole bunch, but honestly, based off of what the story was and the monologue, like when Slim was in the car and they was traveling, like, I'm like, man, give me a prequel. Let me find out what was going
Right,
on in Arkansas. You know what I'm saying?
right,
So shout out to Ryan, man. I don't know if you ever been in the Rock or in Arkansas, man, but
right.
you
Right. I
welcome to
don't
come
know.
this
I want
way.
to know what made him like fall so heavy on
Right.
Arkansas because I mean,
Right.
it's a lot of places in the Delta he could have really, pointed to. So I wonder what made them focus on Little Rock.
Yeah, because he could have switched it up mid like Louisiana. I mean, he could have had her coming from Texas, or even Alabama. You know what I'm saying? It was very interesting that, even outside even think about Delta stuff that he leaned on us, and it makes me wonder that he wanted to just be more unique with his approach to addressing the South because he know that he barely hear about Arkansas. This is very interesting. That's something that's a good point. I definitely would like to learn more about that. Um,
I want to see his research for this movie.
oh yeah, it got to be a book. It has to be. It has to be a book, and and you know, for it's seemingly a quick turnaround as far as production wise, is I think that's why I'm more so fascinated with. It's like how much he was able to put so many pieces together
Mhm.
to really bring this to light or whatever, and have a good sense, and how long honestly has this story probably been at the back of his head, and then you know, truly bringing this, you know, just to fruition on a production scale and being able to get a green light for it, you know, let alone bringing it to where we see it, because there's just a lot of aspects that that was incorporated in this project, that this is what great filmmakers do, you know. And I do feel like this film definitely, even though he's always been making great films, I definitely feel like this solidifies him, because as most people know, and what we talked about in the last episode, it is not easy to produce classic original films,
Mhm.
um, and let it be successful and people are talking about it, you know. So especially if it's not even like a sci-fi, like it's what it is. It's a horror, but it's barely horror. It's more so on the thriller side. It's more
Mhm.
so, you know, supernatural if at best, you know.
They don't say how long it took him to write the movie, but
Mm,
the buzz for it started in January of last year, and they started
yeah.
filming in April of last year, and they wrapped in July.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was a quick turnaround. I think overall, from green light to getting it pre-production and everything, I think it was a full year
Yeah.
wrap around to get it here. So it wasn't that much time at all, inclusive of a lot of things, you know. So um what were some of your well, let me backtrack. So how were like what was your take on, because you kind of leaned on it a little bit, so we're elaborating on the introduction of the vampire had to be invited in, which I will say I wasn't familiar with that traditional rule. But what was your thought process of just being introduced to the actual big bad, and based off the trailer that you saw, like what was your thought process of just like what you think was about to happen and how things played out for you as the night progressed?
I liked um so after he turned the man and his wife, and they were coming to the party and trying to get invited in, that whole scene I thought was really great, it was a perfect setup. Like, we don't know y'all white, we a bunch of black people. As far as we know, y'all could be coming in here trying to kill all of us, which they were,
Yeah.
just not in the way that they thought that they were going to try and kill them.
Right.
But like them singing their song, trying to get them to
Oh,
commit, like it was just all a great setup, but also even when they were rejected, them not leaving, like the persistence,
that's
like we
crazy.
we're gonna sit here and we're gonna sing because we know y'all gotta leave this party eventually. It's
So
a
creepy.
it's a meal full of people to eat.
It's creepy, bro.
Y'all
It's
not gonna party until the morning, so we're gonna stay here all night and just wait and sing because we got the time.
Blaze, that was creepy. The fact that they was and just sitting out there like some loners. Just sitting out there
And
on the
they was
lawn.
having so much fun.
Yes.
Like when the music and the juke joint like kind of wind down, they like, what is that? These people out here is playing.
I
The
mean,
Lassie song, I was like, Mary was out there. The fact that she sat down between them, I was like, girl,
uh,
you messed up. Cause I would when I would have walked out there and they was singing, I would have been like, nah, something wrong with them.
crazy.
Let me
Crazy.
go and go.
I mean, sitting out there for that long just because they really like knowing in any other time they would have went back into town like they told them to and find another place to play at. And the
You
fact
so
that they
you
was
gotta know something is up.
something is up. Like, why
Something is
would
up.
they? I mean, especially again during that time, why would a group of white people be that adamant to be able to get in this Jew joint with all black people that made it clear, hey, we don't feel comfortable with y'all. We don't want y'all in here.
Y'all can
Y'all,
go in town and y'all
yeah,
can go to a place where people who look like y'all at, and y'all gonna have a great time, and y'all are gonna be comfortable. We gonna be comfortable. Like, why do y'all want to come party with us so badly?
So bad. So bad, Blaze.
But I
And
love that his reason was he heard Sammy's voice and
mm,
he had to have it. And I was like, that's such a cool plot device of
mm,
like the music of this young boy or just the music in general, because we'll talk about the singing that everybody's talking about,
of course. Of course.
being something that is so like he's like, I need it. Like we can't leave. Sure, we can probably go find other people to eat, but I need to eat him. I
Yeah.
need his memories. I need his talent. I need this because it is so powerful. And like that, like
Yeah.
that's just such a good plot device of
Yeah.
showing the power of blues music and just music in general, because the music that he was playing was even, I ain't gonna lie, I was nodding my head. I was like, okay. They was
Yeah.
getting like
They
when
was
he
getting
turned to everybody and they was out there doing the river dance, I was like, get it. But like that is, or I'll go ahead and talk about the scene of the music and how music can tie you to the future and the past, and the
yeah.
way that they included other cultures in that as
Yes.
well. Like
Yes.
it's not just about Sammy being black and playing blues music. It's about just music in general and how
Yeah.
it can carry the stories and the histories and the futures of
Mm.
any culture.
Right, right. And how blues has pretty much been like almost the foundation to a lot of things that we hear all the way until this day. And that
Mhm.
was beautiful. I wasn't expecting that at all. Like I literally kind of like I came across Straw Hat Goofy's TikTok and it was a non-spoiler, just like, when that one scene comes up. And yeah, that was a very bold approach to
Yeah.
simply say, hey, we're talking about blues and we're talking about how, you know, people who used to get into the blues was feast into the name, which other things do too, but would feast into the name of the film, how that genre of music has led to so many different type of genres over time and
Hmm.
even globally. But man, that was so bold, Blaze. But I was just so amazed because I love a one shot sequence of a scene that's done correctly.
Hmm.
It was so smooth. I know the space was tight, making
Right.
making everybody sing. It was, oh man, I was not
It
expecting
was
that.
beautiful.
I was not expecting that. And so yeah, I kudos to Ryan and the entire team, especially like the DP who did an amazing job just visually and stuff like that as well. Autumn. I think her last name, I think the correct way to say it is Arkarpa. Hopefully I'm saying it right. If I said it wrong, please forgive me. But Autumn did a really great job with finding a way to really make that work in a tight space. I think that
Hmm.
was the thing that was just so amazing to keep the music going, to keep and Blaze, I don't know how it was with your experience, but feeling the vibrations from the music and how they incorporated music throughout the entire film, which is really
Hmm.
great scoring
Yeah.
by Ludwig. But just being able to feel that full moment, that was a very high energy
Yeah.
moment that I wasn't
It
expecting.
gave me chills.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, I know that when he was probably trying to explain it, and people's like, because if you think about it, you in the 30s, and then you saying that you gonna have a DJ with
Hmm.
turntables in it. How? How, Ryan? How you gonna do that? And I
Watch
can hear him
me.
say, watch this. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he did the thing, So wrapping back to the music, we're talking about Remick and his, villainous ways that he's coming about trying to plot and get to this voice, which is Sammy's voice. And very, very charismatic. I really love his approach. It wasn't just a straight up like, oh, I hate everybody vampire. I love how he was very charismatic and he wasn't a traditional like evil bad. Like he
Yeah,
was very slick with the way he went about taking over the scenes and doing what he needed to do. But you can tell that there was a cutthroat about him to where it's just like, don't get too caught up with the trance of his charmness because he'll get you real quick.
real quick.
And I really enjoyed that. But going back to the intensity thing, when Mary went outside, because I was thinking, I was like, okay, I hope they don't let him in. Because I was thinking the whole time that Mary was secretly a vampire. That's what I was wondering at first. Was she the secret bad instead of Remick? When I figured out that okay, it's not really her, and she goes out there, I said, doggone it. She's family. She gets to come back in.
Yep. Yeah.
And when she came back in,
And
I
when she
said,
came back and said, aren't you gonna invite me in? Baby, why you gotta get invited in? Just come in.
uh, mm, mm, mm. I was like, this is it, man. And that whole thing, just to kind of wrap it up, in the transitional moment, especially for those who have seen it. I hope you ain't been listening to this and ain't watched it.
Right. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert,
Spoiler
spoiler
alert, they
alert.
all
I'm just
died.
saying, you know what I'm saying? Um, Man, I want to kind of fast forward because things start happening. I start kind of feeling that she was gonna get Stack. I really appreciated them being bold enough to let one of the art top artists, I guess you could say, or top actors, even though it's one actor's gig guy. Um, I love the boldness of that and them just kind of making their relationship even more complicated, especially between Smoke and Stack. It's just like we really get to see, and I really love how Ryan really leaned on us trying to understand. Like they are, I know you see Michael B. Jordan twice, but these are brothers.
Hmm.
These are brothers. They are different. And I feel like if anything, by the time that this moment comes into play, you really get to see the differences between both of them outside of us learning more about Stack's background with I'm just saying his significant other, and also when it comes to learning about his child, how the child died, all this stuff like that or whatever. And I really loved how you can tell that he was struggling with knowing that he need to do what he need to do as far as getting Stack out of that barn as quick as possible. Um, but you know, the thing that I really love that they tied in that was some very unique was, well, first off, before we get into that, what would have been your thought process when Grace said, "Come on in"?
Oh, we was everybody in the movie theater, Corrigan, was like, what? Oh no. Everybody in the movie theater. Because girl, what? If you and see, going back to the Native Americans, when they warned them, they said no, it's getting dark, they left. When Grace said she wanted to go out there and they tried to convince her to stay, why are we convincing her to stay? If you want to go out there, go.
Yeah,
If they would have just let her go, then they would have survived the night, every single one of them. But trying to protect her, it was useless. Like you can't protect somebody that doesn't want to be protected. But I love how as soon as she said, "Well, come in," Remick, like he was grouping and then he just paused and he was like, "Oh, really? Let's go." But everybody that was inside the meal was immediately on go. Like they all clocked in, grabbed their
yeah,
weapons, and was like, "Let's go." It wasn't no, "Oh my gosh, what did you do?" They just was like, "We ain't got no other choice. Let's fight." I
yeah,
love that.
yeah. And I wonder if I'm reading too deep into this, but I also wonder that this kind of tied back to the experience of being introduced to her to because her husband was all in. He and Smoke were really cool, as you can tell. all this stuff like that. The only one that wasn't fully all in, and there was seen always be some hesitance in there, was with Grace. And I almost wonder, was that representing the fact that at times, especially throughout the years, there will be moments where, these two cultures and stuff like that can be together, but then also as quick as I'm choosing my own, as in, Grace and her community or wherever like that, I don't identify with y'all. My connection is out there. And
Hmm.
now since they are gone, which I don't blame the sister when when Remick claimed that he was gonna go after the Dame daughter as well. Uh, you know, I get her hurt, but I almost wonder, just because her lack of connection to care for everybody else that was in there and risking it all with them, that was he playing off of the fact that sometimes we're not all in this together type of thing, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh, of course. Like that definitely was them like, we're gonna get inside. We just gotta find out who's the weak person.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, most definitely. And so, man, like that was something. So we fast forward, they going at it, all this stuff like that.
Wait. There is one thing I wanted to
Oh yeah,
mention.
yeah, yeah.
So Annie, who is Smoke's love interest. Um, I really like the inclusion of her character and
Yes.
them using hoodoo in the movie with
Mhm.
her or through her.
Mhm.
Especially when we have Sammy preacher kid who that's the religious side, and then we have this hoodoo side, and then when you think about Smoke, who that one scene he had with Annie where he was like, well, why didn't the root work with our child,
Right. Right.
but he still wore the necklace. And we'll
Yes.
talk about that later as well, but
Yes.
like even later on when Sammy was in the pool and he started saying a prayer and things like that, like it the I guess you can say like the connection or this mirror of religion, and I don't know if hoodoo is considered magic or whatever, but how how like it works, but also it's not foolproof. Both of them are,
Mhm.
not they're not. I feel like the movie was saying like one's not better than the other or anything like that. Sometimes they work, but they're not foolproof because if it's the wheel, it's the wheel.
Right. Right. And if anything, I feel like you can even go a step further with that thought, Blaze. Like, it just shows why some people believe one way other than the next, because
Hmm.
you know, it's what you put your faith in at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's not about, what fully works or not, because even if something failed doesn't mean you stop. So going to Annie, just because it failed, if she did try something or whatever like that with her child, she hasn't stopped, and like you said, Smoke still wears the necklace, and you don't see him ever being in the church or mentioning church or nothing like that. And so the same thing with Preacher Boy Sammy. It's like, even though he desires this not life, he won't say break from the expectations of his faith and his practice or wherever like that. He still has faith in God, and that's where he was leaning on at that moment, and not in the atmosphere that he was surrounded by, which was a lot of people that probably didn't believe the way that he believed or had the same
Mhm.
faith as him. And so, but that's a smooth transition into the necklace. Did you catch that the necklace worked?
Yeah. When he as soon as he took the necklace off, or I mean, I know what moment you're talking about when he was fighting with his brother and he
Yes.
tried to stab him, but it like stopped. I was like,
Yeah.
that's so cool. The
Yeah.
way that they visually showed that.
Yes. Yes. And I loved how, like you saying, like, I love how they kind of eased that in. It wasn't over the top, but it showed something. And I feel like that gave the energy for the rest of the film to make sense the way it did.
Hmm.
Because I do feel like if Stack had an opportunity, he possibly would have went all the way. But that necklace was enough to stop Stack enough to get him to realize, or his whatever conscious is going on with the demon spirit of the vampire, as in this is still your brother and y'all can still have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing of him agreeing to not ever touch Preacher Boy ever
Mm-hmm.
made a lot more sense because of that necklace that they briefly put in there and not overused it. And that was my thing. I loved how they didn't overuse that and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. And um, so everything happens and everything is progressing forward. And we leading up to this very dynamic moment where Remick is pretty much mocking Sammy for trying to pray. And he
Mm-hmm.
talks about how, hey, I can finish this for you because they use this to oppress my people just like they did yours and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was some very deep stuff in a sense that I feel like that was a perfect example of, and this is probably just me speaking from a sense of my belief, but I feel like that's a perfect example of if you don't have your faith in check
Mm-hmm.
in what you believe in, then anybody that's 100% against what you're trying to follow, and we're just going to say sinners at this point, of what you believe, they can make you get, if you let them, they can take you away from your belief or shake your faith
Yep.
just because it did not work for them or it was used against them because of ignorance of the truth, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because the truth is, back then, yes, the Bible was included, but as we know, definitely at this point now, there was only certain scriptures that was taken out and manipulated and
Mm-hmm.
said in a different way to give
To keep them
power,
enslaved. Yeah.
yeah, to keep them enslaved, to have black pastors in churches only say things that they want them to say, so on and
Mm-hmm.
so forth. But we know the truth. But back then, that moment was very powerful or whatever, going along with you saying with the belief thing and stuff, because it's like that was a perfect example of just like, hey, when you go around and play with folks that don't have the same beliefs as you and values as you,
Mm-hmm.
and your faith is not solid, they
Mm-hmm.
can shake your faith. And it's only going to be on you to make sure you hold on to it. And he shook him that night.
He did.
He
Cause
shook
he
him.
thought, cause in his mind, he's thinking this man is just a demon. He's a devil. There's no way he knows the word. But he, like in that moment, he forgot that Remick was a person
Yes.
before he became a vampire.
Yes. And whatever he's saying, he may not even, the actual person Remick may, if that was even his name, he don't even probably believe that.
Mm-hmm. Because the vampires in this movie, they take on the memories of the people they have fed on. And
Yes.
so it may not even be things that he's recalling from his memories. It could be somebody that he's eaten before.
Yes. And also he probably going along with that, he knows that if I say this is gonna really mess him up because I know their history better than they do.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now. I know the history better than they do, and I'm about to use it on you.
Mm-hmm.
And but the uniqueness about it is that there is a small good portion of history of like when Irish people immigrated over, they had a hard time too.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that was kind of a play off of that as well,
Yeah,
but I
it
do feel
definitely.
like, it was very clever of Ryan to use um the Irish people and their culture
Mm-hmm.
to kind of act as a platform for being the leader of the vampires and bringing this culture into this moment, bringing it head on, because I don't think I've ever seen that before. You
Right.
and so um yeah, I just really love that moment. And the other thing, Blaze, I did not think he was telling the truth when he said they was gonna come back and shoot up that juke joint. I
I
did
mean,
not
no,
believe that.
I believed him because of he knew everything about Grace's, you know, family and things like that. So I was like, if he ate these people and he knows he has their memories, and plus when we were
Mm,
introduced to those
bro.
people, there was like a little clip where we saw the KKK
Roll.
robe and stuff. So I was like,
Yeah.
nah, he telling the truth. I
Yeah.
didn't think they was gonna come back that quick. I
No, I didn't either. I did not.
was like,
Cause my
oh,
thing,
y'all not playing. Y'all really do be killing people. Dang.
yeah. Cause I guess like in my head, I guess I'm thinking about the harshest of the harshest. Ain't no way in the 30s this man is gonna that probably hate black people is gonna up and sell this to them, and it's just gonna be that, you know. And I that little and then even that little altercation that they had, I kind of just let that pass by the wayside. I didn't even think more about it. But then the whole entire trailer that was shown, it finally made sense because like, you know, Sammy leaves, Smoke hangs back, he rips off the necklace, throws it down. He's sitting down and opens up this thing. I said, this is the beginning of the trailer that I completely forgot happened. And he's about to go ham. Cause I'm like, okay, did another group of vampires come up and then he's just shutting them down? But I'm like, well, it
It's
can't be that. And
daytime.
then it's not that dark. And then sure enough, it was all of them, like Remick said, pop back on up to take
Which
it
I
back.
thought was so like it goes back to my first point when we started this discussion of this movie is about people during that time period going through their life. The supernatural experience happens, but guess what? We survived it, but guess what? We still got to go through life, and our
Yes.
life includes dealing with racist people who try to kill us. So even
Yes.
though I just survived the vampire attack,
Now I got to do this
now
the
I
same
gotta
day.
now I gotta do this other attack
Yeah.
against men.
Yeah.
Like
That
these people were trying to come for me to so that I can become one of them.
yes.
These people are trying to come for me because of who I am, like the color of my skin.
And it's a two for thing. It's like a complete hate and want to get rid of me. And then it's like there's a hate for me, but I see your gifts and I want your gift.
Mm-hmm.
Let me use your gift.
Let me also like let I'm trying to sell you freedom.
Yes.
And that was a
Self
big
freedom.
theme of the movie as well of
Yeah.
wanting to be free. Because
Yeah.
like we can even go back to Stack and Mary.
Hmm.
They had this scene where they were dancing and they were talking about how essentially they wish that they could be together, but they can't be together because she passes for white, she's married to a white man. It
Hmm.
just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
by turning them into vampires, it gave them this sense of freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like at the end of the day, everybody got what they wanted in the
Mm-hmm.
most morbid way, pretty much. You know, Sammy got to
Mm-hmm.
have that, he got to be free for one night. He finally got to be free and he
Mm-hmm.
got what he wanted. He got more than what he thought he was going to get.
Mm-hmm.
And he got all of that experience. And then he was able to move on and be a blues player until he got in old age. And like you said, with Stack and Mary, they were finally able to be together, you know, with that's like on some Romeo and Juliet type stuff almost to
Mm-hmm.
me. And then it's sad, man, but it's just like Smoke took off that necklace, risking his life, knowing that if he died that day, that he would finally not have to feel any pain no more. Because I feel like he was grieving hard and
Yeah,
he
he
didn't
was
want to live
depressed.
on. Yeah, he was depressed.
I mean, and also you have to think it like this. He lost everything that he cared about. He had
Yeah.
already lost his child. He lost
Yep.
Annie, and his brother was on this planet, but he was not who his brother.
Yes.
So he felt like, what do I have to live for?
Yeah. And so I feel like it was a very powerful moment for what happened at the end to happen with him defending the juke joint, but
Mhm.
then also defending himself and taking them all down and seeing that true soldier side that we were
Mhm.
getting glimpses of, but then finally seeing that come through. And And then, even when he took that bullet and it went straight through, I said, 1930s, that ain't looking too good.
Yeah, it's over with it's over for your partner, but
Yeah,
finish the job.
yeah,
Finish
yeah,
the job though.
exactly. And he went straight through and he finished it, man. And then him sitting down and symbolically holding his child, that showed he was gone.
Mhm.
And I loved how they was able to basically share that, like, this is him being able to hold his baby. Smoke is gone. He just died.
Mhm.
Instead of him falling out among the crowd, all this stuff like that or whatever, this just happened. Um, so that was pretty that was very there was a very just a very poetic moment. I think that's the way that I want to say of how they did that. And again, finding ways as a filmmaker to say things without saying things and just showing it, but not even just showing it, finding unique, finding symbolic ways to really get that through.
Mhm.
He really did a great job on that. And Blaze, I was not expecting to fast forward into the 1990s.
Right. I feel sorry for the people who left because everybody that I was in a movie theater with left except for two people.
Mm,
And I almost left, but
yeah,
I was walking slow because I was like, I feel like something is about to happen. And as soon
yeah.
as I had turned the corner, it changed and I turned right back around and sat down.
Yo, when Stack and Mary came through that door, I said, "Oh my,
Oh my.
oh my." But I don't know. It was almost kind of like I don't know. It was almost like a sign of respect outside of him claiming, well, not claiming, but saying that Smoke asked him not to ever touch him.
Hmm.
But it was almost like a moment where it's like, hey, a sign of respect. You didn't fold. You stuck to what you always want to do. You want to do this blues thing. You chose your own way of
Hmm.
your center path. And I'm saying centers as in, as Ryan has explained, the motivation behind the title comes from the fact that whenever people went into blues and wasn't singing in the church, like it was heavily criticized and called sinners. And so,
It was
and
called the
I
devil's music.
right, it was the devil's music. And you know, it was very I feel like it was one of those things that, like, yeah, it was one on end that he was upholding what his brother asked him not to do. But then also I feel like it was like he respected that not only he got to continue to live, but he almost chose his path that was almost as equal within the film, uh, to, Stack becoming a vampire. You know what I'm saying? And both of them having peace in both of what they were doing, you know what I'm saying? And so, um, really dope film, Blaze.
Also in that final scene, Stack says, it was the last time I saw the sun. Um, it was the last time I saw my brother. For a few hours before the sun went down, we were truly free. They show this beautiful scene of like them watching the sunrise.
Yeah.
And that mirrors actually a scene in a moment in the first season of Interview with the Vampire,
Mm,
which, if you haven't watched the series, it takes place in the 1920s in New
yeah.
Orleans, and they used a black man to play Louis,
Mhm.
and he says the last time that I saw the sun, the last time that I saw the sunrise, that was the last time I ever saw perhaps the kindest thing the darkness gift has given me. I don't miss the sun, the reminders it carries. And so it's just interesting how in Sinners, his last time seeing the sun was like the last time being free. And in Interview with the Vampire, it was his last time of, it was about the humanity, I guess you can say. They both of these projects have very different views on vampires. Interview with the Vampire is about his coming to terms with his becoming a vampire, as where sinners, it's more so coming to terms of losing your humanity.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
thought that was beautiful that, you have these two projects that have come out within a few years of each other that are in slightly the same time period that captures such a beautiful, they both have captured this beautiful moment that's so similar, but also means something different.
Yeah, most definitely. It's what I kind of took from it, um, is that, it also just kind of shows that we have to be careful of, like, sometimes it's kind of like the old saying when we're playing dominoes, all money ain't good money. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's kind of like that all freedom ain't always the best freedom to experience.
Mm-hmm.
There's no shame in having structure to your life, and finding that balance of finding ways to be true to yourself, but then also understanding that for your own good, it's probably good to have these boundaries, because it makes you the best version of yourself and it helps you keep yourself. Because if not, you can lose your soul to the industry, and I feel like that's what the vampire situation kind of was. Or and also, you know yeah, you can give into this, aware of like that, as far as a career path. Not that I'm saying musicians are what they talked about them back in the day with Sammy's decision, but Sammy ideally lost his whole family just for a career. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? And
And
then, oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead. You can
And
finish.
then in the midst of all of that, we're them as black people, we as black people trying to navigate and figure out the best boundaries for us and figure out what's true to us, upholding our faith, all this stuff like that. But then we still in the daytime got to deal with all this out in the open, as
Mm-hmm.
well, with just hate that we could receive at any time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
And I was just gonna say, like, to add on to like the movie being called Sinners, it also, like everything that you said, it reminds me of the Bible scripture, Matthew 6:16-26. For
hmm,
what is a man profit if he shall gain the whole world and lose his soul? You know.
yeah, 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 most definitely. Most definitely, Blaze. And we gonna hang a hat on that one because you did it. But no, kudos to the whole proximity media team. Uh,
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
is
they
a
did
really
their big
great
one.
film. Like we mentioned in the last episode, it is not easy to create classic films, and I hope
Mhm.
that this will encourage, studios to give more classic, original ideas a chance.
Corgan,
Um,
I think it will. Like
you think?
the discourse about it, I think it will. Like somebody posted something on X and they were like, is y'all saying this movie so good? Is it gonna save world hunger or something like that? And I commented back and I was like, it may not do that, but it may save the movie industry
True.
because the way that people are talking about it, people are going to see this movie multiple times, not just because they like it, but because they saw it in one way and now they want to see it in what is it, 770 mm. They want,
Yes,
they
70
want to get that full experience. And then everybody's talking about how it's the first original movie in so many years. And I think this is crazy that we just did that episode about classic movies, and then this movie comes out and it's getting the response.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like I really do hope it continues to give opportunities, even not on a major studio wise, but streaming platforms, all this stuff like that. Just continue. I don't feel like original projects always have to be, or fairly, rarely known adapted projects need to only just be with streaming services
Hmm.
and shows. Like, films deserve to be original. There's a time and place for the other franchises, where it's Jurassic Park to Marvel, all this stuff like that. I enjoy those fully, but true, like, well, I ain't gonna say true cinema, but the beauty of cinema is to be able to have those moments where the you have those original projects that the masses can relate to in so many different ways, and have these conversations. Like, I love getting on TikTok and Facebook and people having conversations and trying to break down things. Like, this is what I feel like, which you can have your fun, but this is what it's all about,
Hmm.
bringing us together. Like, that's why the 90s was so big, and in the early 2000s, and even on back from the 90s, having those films that give a great experience in the theater and then give so many people things to talk about for a long time. Like, when I don't know when they're gonna probably drop this, but if they wait and drop this around in the fall, around September, October, it's gonna it's gonna whatever streaming platform is gonna be on, since Warner Bros. Is gonna probably be on HBO Max, it's gonna be huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be huge. And so really enjoyed this project. Definitely looking forward to what Ryan got next. I think he announced publicly out of his mouth that he is getting ready to be a part of X-Files series, getting that
Mm-hmm.
restarted, or continuing that. And so yeah, man, really, really great project. So but all right, y'all, we ain't gonna hold y'all too much longer. This has been a great conversation. But thank y'all for tuning in, and we hope y'all have a good rest of the morning, day, or night. And until next time,
Peace.
peace.